The Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer, weekday afternoons at 5 Eastern on CNN.
This is part of the architectural plan to try to make the appearance of the court feel monumental and to give the sense that there's important things happening in this building.
We're in the Great Hall of the Supreme Court, about to enter the most important courtroom in the land. The Supreme Court's impact is almost immeasurable. Few ever have the chance to get behind the scenes of this iconic building. Only 2 pictures exist of the court actually in session, and those cameras were smuggled in the 1930s. But on the 75th anniversary of the High Court's home, we gained rare access to this place.
It's sure to surprise many people that this building's actually the permanent home of the Supreme Court's only 75 years old, which is kind of young in relative terms to many of the buildings here in Washington.
Right, exactly, and that was one of the tasks that was assigned to the architects. They wanted to make sure that this building blended in with the Library of Congress next door and also with the Capitol.
For almost 150 years, the Supreme Court was basically homeless. The court met in New York City, Philadelphia, and then the old Senate chamber in Washington. Not until 1929 did then Chief Justice William Howard Taft finally convince Congress to fund construction of a permanent home. The building opened in 1935. Catherine Fitz is the head curator here.
Marble is most definitely the predominant material that's used. In fact, out of the original $9.7 million, they spent about $3.5 million just on the marble alone. The design for the building is a Greco-Roman temple, kind of a temple of justice.
A beautifully wood.
The High Court's associate curator, Matt Hofstad, then took us to the court's law library, an historic place where justices have long visited to consult the wisdom of justices past in the library's 600,000 volumes.
The library is a very vibrant part of what the court does because you need that sort of scholarly input in the opinion writing process.
Now, with the ease of the internet, the library isn't used nearly as much, but this room is a different story. It can never be replaced. The courtroom where historic cases such as Brown v. Board of Education, integrating public schools, Bush v. Gore, and many more have all been decided.
Oh, yay, oh, yay.
And the courtroom, in tradition and even furniture, has gone virtually unchanged since the first case was heard.
Some of the traditions you'll see here in the courtroom are the 3 justices come out in 3 groups from behind the red curtains. And some of the other traditions are, to this day, the court still puts quill pens at the desks of the attorneys who will be arguing before the court. Sort of a throwback to the John Marshall years.
Still, the justices are notoriously camera shy, and much of the government building, like their chambers, remains off limits. And while a grand building, we found the little details hidden from most visitors are what give the court's home its power and charm. Ornate carvings above the courtroom showing great lawgivers of the past, like Moses with the 10 Commandments and a rare image of the Prophet Muhammad. Small turtles on the lampposts outside signifying the deliberate pace of justice. And portraits of every former justice lining the walls where the new justices are sworn in.
This allows you to go through the history of the court in only 16 or 17 people. And when we've had 44 presidents now, there's only been 17 chief justices in that same period of time.
An ever-evolving court, yet a place built on tradition, and an institution leaving lasting imprints on the fabric of American society. But on rare occasion, that imprint works the other way around. These sweeping doors leading into the court were meant to symbolize access to justice for all. But they've now been closed as a public entrance because of security concerns. Kate Baldwin.